Right, Wolf. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for asking.
And can you tell us your full name and what do you do?
My name is Wolfgang Bodison. I am an actor, a theater and film director, and a teacher, acting teacher and director at Playhouse West.
Okay, excellent. And some of the movies, TV shows you've been on?
The most memorable film is a film called A Few Good Men, Most Wanted, Freeway, and, various number of episodic TV and that kind of thing.
All right, excellent. And what inspired you to become an actor?
Well, I have a little bit of a different story. I actually moved to LA to write and direct. And I started at a company called Castle Rock and in the mailroom and kind of worked myself up the production ladder. And then was fortunate enough to was hired to be Rob Reiner's set assistant on Misery. So, which was a great opportunity at the time. I got to watch Rob and Barry Sonnenfeld work with, Kathy Bates and James Caan. And so, just taking notes and journals and all that kind of stuff. And when that wrapped, I continued up doing production. I was kind of going into the location manager sort of route. And at the same time working on my own writing, that kind of stuff. And eventually I had a big opportunity to be the location manager on A Few Good Men. And I was, doing that job and flying around. And then one day I was at the company at Castle Rock and I bumped into Rob. And we started talking, and then out of the blue, he said, I know you want to write and direct, but you haven't acted before. I said, no. He says, well, the role of Dawson in A Few Good Men. I think you might be a good fit for that. Why don't you just come in and audition, see how it goes? Well, okay. Then I ran off and tried to find these locations again. But I had a moment of smartness and found an acting coach to prepare for the audition, and went in and auditioned. And, of course, when I left, I ran back out and tried to find these locations with no real thought that this is really going to happen. And they kept calling me back for a callback. And I remember the final audition when we finished, Rob stood up and he says, well, I have a big decision to make. And I'm like, yeah, you got a lot of great actors to choose from, I don't know, maybe a few days later, I'm out scouting and I get a page, and it's from his office. And I stop off at a payphone and get on the phone with his assistant, and she's kind of, yeah, he wants to talk to you. And first thing he says, welcome to the movie business. I'm offering you this role as Dawson in A Few Good Men. So it was, when you say what inspired me to act, it was kind of like something that, happened while I was going another avenue. And then, of course, after that experience, which went really well, kind of fell in love with the acting as well. So started to pursue that route instead.
Okay, so you got the bug.
I got the bug, yes.
When did you become the director of Playhouse West, or a teacher?
Yeah, that was maybe 12, 15 years ago. I had, been working as an actor on and off like everybody, and had been going to different classes and stuff. And they have some great teachers. At a certain point, though, I felt like, I was looking for something. Felt like there was something missing in my work. And really just through research. I don't even know what Google was like back then. It wasn't much. Trying to find information, and came across Playhouse West. And, went and audited a class. And I remember going there and watching. And if you're familiar with the Meisner technique, it's unconventional in its approach. And sitting there thinking, what in the world is going on? This is nuts. And had the inclination, like a lot of times people do when they audit, kind of, oh, this is enough. I said, well, let me just talk to the guy, you know. So afterwards, I interviewed with Tony Savant, who was the director at the time, and you know, it sounded like exactly what I needed, in terms of learning how to really be present and really listen and not perform and not have an idea that I wanted to perform. And so, started with the classes and, stayed there for, I don't know, 5, 6 years. I just was, working and finding that community at the school and being able to stay sharp in my classes and stuff. And they kind of got the sense, well, this guy's not going anywhere. Why don't we have him, I started to sit with Mr. Carnegie and watch him teach. And he was my teacher at Playhouse West, so I learned a great deal, working with him, and became sort of a substitute teacher and was, teaching on and off, that kind of thing. And then one day, Mr. Carnegie called me and says, hey, Tony is going to Pennsylvania, to Philly, and I'd like you to take his position as a director, which was, very honored to be asked. But man, that was like, again, shot out of the cannon, because I think he had 10 classes at the time. So it was a little overwhelming at first, kind of starting to manage the classes, manage the energy that it takes. But what was great about it, I got my 10,000 hours in pretty fast with all those classes. And, just started to navigate the teaching and finding my own way in terms of how I communicate with the actors. So, I feel like I'm in a good place right now in terms of what I'm offering to the students and that kind of thing.
Okay. And Playhouse West is a theater training, right?
Yes.
And it prepares you for theater and film and TV.
It is specifically a theater school in terms of the acting. And of course, like anything, you have to understand the environment that you're working on. If you're doing theater, it's a whole different way of conducting yourself than if you're, say on a camera and you're a lot closer and stuff. So those things are obvious, are addressed and communicated. But we also offer, a lot of opportunities in film. We have a film festival, the Playhouse West Film Festival, and we're coming up on our 26th year. I'm the director of that. We just had our 25th year anniversary. And so it's a great way. What's unique about that festival is every film that is submitted must have at least one Playhouse West member represented in the movie. Mm-hmm. So it's uniquely our experience. It's over at the El Portel Theater, beautiful venue, and the films that are selected, we screen them. There are Q&As after. We have special guests that come in, former members of the school, that kind of stuff. Scott Kahn, Scott Hayes, Jim Perrick, and they, talk to the students and really kind of provide that motivation. Nowadays you can't. Back in my day, making a film was cost prohibitive. It was film, the editing, the development of the film, and then the editing. Now with the digital platform, there's no reason to wait. So it really helps the students to see their peers doing what they want to do and think, I can do that too. And even the guest speakers who come in who are, really who are at a certain level and are climbing the level, it's great for them to see, because I say to them, look, these guys who are going to come in and talk were in your seats not too long ago. So it's, Jeff Goldblum and some of the bigger stars that have come through the school come in and talk, and that's great. But, in their mind, yeah, but they're big movie stars. So to see the guys who are really starting to ascend, I think is a really great motivator for the students. So we have that. We also have a screenwriting class that Doug Van Beber does. And, you know, it's a ground from the ground level up, how to write a screenplay. And at the end of the class, I think you have 3 shorts that you've written. And so, you know, because a lot of times people say, well, I don't know where to start. How do I write something? And so that's a great opportunity. Chris Levy has a class called Film Production. And, you know, he teaches movie making process. He has all the camera equipment. You learn about the lenses and the camera and sound and lighting. And everyone takes on different positions throughout, either directing it or writing it or acting in it. So that, you know, all of these different opportunities have been great to help inspire the students to get after it, you know. Even when they don't know, you know, it's always that thing of like, where do we start? Well, you just got to start, you know. So we give these opportunities to help them get started.
Okay, excellent. And so what are the common challenges aspiring actors face in Los Angeles, and how do you help them, you know, overcome these obstacles?
You know, I mean, with this business, there are no guarantees.
Yeah.
Okay, you can be as talented as heck, work your butt off. It's just, you know, there's so much competition for one.
Maybe.
And, you know, it's really about, I always say to the students, some way, somehow, you gotta just, if this is what you want to do, because if it's not, then don't do it.
Yeah. Because
it will turn you around. If it is something, you got to find a way to stay in it somehow.
it is.
Somehow. And it might not be directly as an actor, but I was fortunate enough to find the teacher route that I'm still involved. I'm still, you know, I directed and acted in a play called Permafrost about a year ago. You know, directing my own shorts. And I still go out and audition and stuff. So it's, you know, whether it's through another job or something, you know, it's about showing up, staying in the game, and trying to be ready, you know. It's so many, there's no linear path to this job. That's what's kind of hard because if you want to be a doctor, you go to undergrad, you go to grad school, you do an internship. There's a whole pathway. If you want to be a lawyer, you go to, you know, undergrad, law school, get into a firm, navigate that process. Same with Wall Street. With acting, look, I mean, you heard how my career started. You know, there's no one way to start. There's no one way to go. There's no way to define a career because it is very cyclical. You're on top of the world, you can't get arrested. And then again, they seem to discover you again. And then, you know, it's the way I describe it is we are like in the desert, okay? And an oasis is a job. And we get a job and we're in this oasis and it's wonderful and we're luxuriating and all of and then the job ends and the oasis disappears. And then we are, okay, well, we just got to start walking. And we don't know which way to go. We just start walking and we're in the desert and we don't know how long that walk's going to be, you know? And so what I tell the actors, yes, it's hot. The sand is uncomfortable. But people who live in those environments, what they don't do is complain. That is what it is. And so it is a certain mindset that you know, and with any job, but this has a particular mindset of nothing is stable. You don't know where your income is coming in half the time. And you just have to be okay with that. And you walk and suddenly there's another oasis. And you are there and you enjoy that one. Hopefully it's a longer one. And then it disappears again. And then you're back off walking. So, you know, that is sort of our life in the entertainment, freelance entertainment, it's because, as you know, it's all freelance. One job to the next, to the next, to the next. So helping them, but the ground level aspect of it is you have to have a craft, okay? And whether it's Playhouse West or Meisner or any other school, you have to have a foundation so that when these opportunities do arise, you feel like you belong there,
Okay.
I've heard, actors say that when they were on a job, they just, because other people had training or experience and they didn't feel like they belonged. And that's not a great place to work from. You can't work confidently from that. So we provide our foundation at Playhouse West, which is very unique and we're very proud of it. And we feel like we give them the tools to function correctly. Okay? I always say, you get to scene work and directing, everyone has their way, and they're all correct. What is universal and has to be always correct is how you communicate moment to moment. Being present, really working off, trying not to come with a planned performance, in doing that. So with the training there, kind of provides them that mindset and way of working that they can then take to any job and work with any director and other actors who have different ways of working as well, so that they can succeed and thrive.
All right. And like you said, we don't know when the next job is going to be or when we're going to book the next job. So that's why it's really important maybe to have something else on the side for income.
Sure.
Yeah, because it's uncertain.
It's uncertain. I mean, and again, anyway, anyhow, whether it's a survival job, whether it's a job in a different field, look, if you have other interests, it'd be good to maybe pursue those as well. But look, there are different theories about this. It's like you either have to burn the ships out at sea so there's no retreat, kind of mindset. Or it's the other mindset where if you have something else that you're not sort of beholden to and, getting desperate with every job or every opportunity in auditioning and stuff. So you just have to find the right path for yourself.
Okay. And you mentioned that, if you're not confident on the set, it's not a good place to be.
Correct.
So how do you work on confidence? How do you become more confident as an actor?
By doing it.
By doing it.
First is being in class, and we have classes twice a week. It's an accumulative process at 10,000 hours. It's being on your feet in front of people, and coming up with different challenges. I try to challenge my students to get them out of their comfort zone, to have them try to expand their creativity and imagination, and then it's like, look, especially at the beginning of your career, take jobs, student films, write and do your own. They're not always going to be the best quality, but that is you learning and cutting your teeth on your feet. Go in and audition. And, a lot of times actors will ask me who are very new about getting an agent. I'm like, well, that's something to consider, but you first have to prepare yourself so that either with an agent or casting, you don't want to go and present yourself as someone who's not ready. So getting that experience as much as you can early on. I also am very adamant about keeping my students on a regular basis on stage, doing either different class assignments. We just did a show called the Song to Scene, where it uses the nursery rhyme technique that Mr. Meisner developed, where basically they took song lyrics and wrote a scene. Okay, which is the most challenging unit there. And so there's also Spoon River. I do a show called the Spoon River Movie Mashup. I'm, constantly putting up the classes in sort of, I call it the Extravaganza Festival, putting up one-act festivals. And also directing standalone productions, that kind of stuff. The last Extravaganza Festival, I did something. I had the students write their own one-acts, okay? And it was just amazing. The work that they created. And so I started a whole new thing called the Playhouse West Originals, where, I'm constantly telling them, hey, write your own one-acts. We'll put together these, these events so you can showcase your work. And, it's through that they find out, hey, maybe they're good writers, Many of people here in Hollywood started off as actors.
Yeah.
And discovered they have other talents, and get smart and say, let me get out of this crazy thing. And, it's, look, I also say, look, we are, there's perseverance, and we are also part delusional, You can't tell us, we still believe that there's that brass ring out there. And it's crazy how every time you get to a point, I'm done, they pull you back in somehow, And so it's just having, that belief in yourself. Even when other people don't.
Yeah.
And, it's always easy to say. It's hard to hold on to that, especially when times are tough.
Yeah, that's true. No, absolutely. If students have to build connections, they have to go to school, they have to work on their craft, but they have to build connections within the industry as well. Do you have like an advice on how to build connections in the industry?
There are certain actors that are good socially, There are also a lot of actors who are very sensitive and introverted, and that's not a strength of theirs. But I say, if that's a strength of yours, utilize it. Go to events, meet people, socialize.
Film festivals like the one.
Film festivals are a great opportunity, especially if you have something there. People love to interact with other people who are doing, because, this town is full of people who are talking about stuff.
Yes.
Action is really where it's at in terms of getting it done. So you want to try to find people of like mind in that way, who are really determined to make something happen. If you're good at socializing, go out and do that. We also say at Playhouse West, look, you develop a community there, and usually people want to Mr. Carnegie says, people want to get on the bus of a big star, right? Yeah, but that bus is full, and it's down the street. This in the room, in your classroom, at the festival, people sitting around you, those are the people that you should be, procuring those relationships with. Like, I asked about who you have stayed in contact with. That's important, So networking is important if you're good at it. I'm not necessarily that good at it. I'm kind of get uncomfortable, and then I get awkward, and then it just gets weird, right? So I do my best when opportunities might arise like that, but it can be a challenge.
So what are the key qualities do you think make an actor stand out in auditions? Because you do help actors audition. You have a business. I think you have a website.
I do. It's been on hold at the moment because I've been so busy at the school. But yes, I did coaching. And I actually have an audition unit that I teach at the school. Well, the main thing in terms of auditioning is, do you bring yourself? For many years I was trying to, we a lot of times we go in and we try to do what we think they want to see. And what they really want to see is what you can creatively come in with, And so in terms of your training, I always say you're learning about you, so that when it's time to work, do you. That's what's going to make you stand out, because you have your own unique qualities that can shine. I have a lot of students come in that are very quirky, and the tendency is to try to shape them into a sort of neutral thing, as opposed to, no, that's what's going to get them the job, And so let them just thrive in that sort of way. Then, no, they might not be right for every role, but it just takes one person to hire them. And next thing you know, casting of people are saying, hey, we want someone like that guy, And so helping them to, and it's hard to really embrace that, because we want the job so bad that we are trying to do, again, what we think they want. And to have that confidence to just make your own choices, put your own, bring your own understanding to it. There's something that's important is understanding how to deliver a certain point of view, right? A lot of times actors will deliver their work and it's good, but it's sort of neutral, So having a point of view in terms of how you feel about the other person at that moment in time helps to make it much more distinctive, and then also allows you to change it up very quickly. But the main thing is really just going in and with your choices and doing that confidently. And then, I always say, hey, as actors, we shouldn't try to strive for being good. But if you want to be good at anything, be good at making adjustments. Because in the audition room, you're going to get adjustments. And too often, actors get in their head in that moment, I messed up. Oh, it wasn't what they wanted. No, that's actually, it's a reverse. They actually like the work you did, and they want to see how you work. Can you work on your feet? You're not falling apart, can't remember the lines now because you're getting notes. And so trying to stay in a place of creativity and openness in that moment. And really what that comes down to, again, is the confidence in your craft. I try to get the students to a place that they are sort of defensive proof, if that makes any sense, where you get criticism, you get notes, you don't go to a place of being defensive, right? Because if that is the case, you probably are not so confident in what you're doing, So you kind of have a way you think, and then it was not. It's like, well, but if you have this confidence about you, it's like, yeah, okay. What I did was forget about good, and that's what I did. And I know it's at least solid. And now you're giving me some direction. Okay, great. Let's go. Let's play. So, but again, that just comes from the confidence, and that confidence comes from doing and, taking as many opportunities as you can, always learning, always filling yourself with as an actor, it's really our job to be curious about stuff, because we're asked to take on so many different environments and occupations and personalities. So the more that, we can really just have a little bit of knowledge about a lot of stuff and want to know about more things, it helps us to be, I always say, you never know where your references are going to come from when you get a job. How you might reference it to some other thing, but the more references you have through all of your exploration, the better.
Okay. And when you say come ready with your, I'm not sure, did you say choices? Make a choice? A strong
choices.
Choice? Okay. That doesn't mean prepare for the choice, right? Or
well, the choice I'm talking about is a point of view.
okay.
Okay. Yes. You have to do the work. Look, auditions are backwards. It's a backwards process. It forces us actors to crap on our process, which is rehearsal and discovery. Okay? Auditions ask us to pick this up and quickly do it. Okay? That is not a creative process. Okay? But it's the kind of thing we have to do to, unfortunately, get the job. So we're literally learning the lines and making quick choices and trying to, do it. Now, you hope to get to a place where, yes, you learn your lines, but there's less emphasis. Early in my career, it was so much emphasis on preparing something to bring in, like a gymnastics routine, okay? And that can be very stressful, as gymnastic routines are, because they're trying to hit the thing, hit the thing, hit the thing. And so the moment you don't hit something, you get in your head, now you're not there, and it's going sideways. But yes, I have my lines, I understand what the doing is in the scene, if I'm trying to change a point of view, if it's a scene of conflict, or if we're reminiscing or whatever the simple doing is, those are certain things you have to understand. And we try to keep them as simple as possible, so that you don't want to be in your head about what you're going to say and how you're going to say it. That our goal is to always be present with the other person and not having a prepared way of how we're going to say it, because it's what you say and how you say it that will then determine what I say, which might be the next line, and how I say it, And so if we can get to that place of really doing that moment-to-moment unfolding, whether it's an audition or in our acting, that's where you become much more grounded and real. And with the point of view, it's either, you're either working from a place of respect or loving them, or being, from a place of anger or hating them, and, or thinking they're ridiculous, okay, at this moment in time. That gives it a particular angle in, the delivery of it. It's sort of the lens by which I hear you speak and through which I speak back to you. So that can help to shape the audition in a way that's specific and not just sort of neutral.
I see. Okay. That's really good advice for the actors. And going back to Playhouse West, any upcoming initiatives on new programs, or is it going to be the same thing?
Well, there's a curriculum that there's beginner, intermediate, and advanced, and the students make their way through the different levels, and then they get to advance, and then it's kind of a process of continuing to work on things and to, again, like I said, discover yourself. I have a certain way of going about it that, like I said, I try to work on these different creative tools, whether it's a nursery rhyme song to scene unit or the Spoon River monologue unit, and then always staying, with the scene work or one acts and stuff. I have a show, the Spoon River movie mashup, that I do that's coming up in the beginning of December. So my Wednesday night classes, and enthralled in doing that. And, by trying to constantly keep them working. And the way I do it is we set a date, 3 months out, we set a date, and we're going to be ready on that date. That puts us in a whole different, pressure cooker. Because, look, if you're going to be doing a performance at the Geffen, you can't say, well, we're not ready. Can we push the show? You got to be ready.
Okay.
So the experience is not only creatively, but also time management. I say when you get a job in the film industry, you get 2 phone calls after they've offered you the job. The first call is from wardrobe. You go in, do your fitting. The second call is your call time. First day. Nobody's checking in with you. The director doesn't, hey, are you going to be ready? Are you what? You know, you're going to be prepared. So you have to know how to self-manage and self-motivate and know the work to do. And so even with a lot of my classes, I have the veteran students a very hands-off approach on their preparation, trying to teach them that there's a certain date in our rehearsal process. And I don't tell them when it is. I say, no, we're starting on Monday. You're bringing in what you have. And so they're either now in a place of catch up or they have been working on it. And so then we get closer to the show, that crunch starts to happen. Nerves start to happen. Doubt starts to happen. Fear starts to happen. And that's going to be with every job, okay? We have to learn how to manage all that. We have to learn how to work through all of that, you know? Because I always say, that day will very soon be the day, okay? The show is on 3 months from now. It might seem like a long time, but that day will very soon be today. So trying to, you know, navigate that process. And it's always, even myself, you know, so many projects that I've done at the school, I often just had it for this last one. It's like, oh man, I don't know. Is this thing going to work? You know, well, look, let's just keep going, you know? And so, and if you know, I try to have a structure for them to follow so that, you know, I kind of liken it to building a house. You start with the studs and you put the framing up and you start to put the different accessories in. And there's always, during this process, it looks like junk, you know? You can walk by a house and you go, oh, God, that place is a mess. Yeah, it is, because it's in the process of being built. And then one day you walk by and you go, oh my God, that's a beautiful house. So you got to have that vision of the beautiful house and holding on to that, even during the times of, because you're going to be doubtful. You're going to get scared. You're going to always say, you're going to often look for that ejection button. And we are very good at conspiring with the universe to come up with reasons why we can't do it. Okay? The play that I did, Permafrost, where I was the director and I acted in it as the lead. Andrew Grace wrote it. It was really a wonderful piece. And I kind of found myself in a position where I was used to directing, but not really directing myself in a thing. And it was suddenly like, oh my God, the amount of work I thought I had is twofold. And I tell the students, hey, I was looking for that ejection button, man. I was like, but then I was like, look, I gotta hopefully do what I preach and hang in there and just fight through. And I'm glad I did, because, you know, again, I always tell them, there's going to be that rewarding experience at the end.
It did.
I did this, you know? And I remember I wanted to stop. I wanted to quit, but I did it. And then even trying to tell the students, hey, stop stealing from your experience of accomplishing something. Because too often we get to the end, we go, yeah, but I could have done. And, you know, I wasn't really, and it's like, leave that alone. Mm-hmm. You did what you did. As long as you worked hard, and you should just be proud of it and happy with it. And yes, there's always things differently you could have done. But if you're going to be in that place, you're never going to really enjoy what you do. Yeah. You know? Mm-hmm. So that's part of that process that I try to give to the students, that sort of full experience. You know, not only, they're creatively working on their craft, but it is the process of building something and, you know, creating something that is, you know, something I think is worth experiencing.
All right. Excellent. And just Playhouse West. What's different about Playhouse West if you want to compare it to other schools in LA? What's so distinguished about Playhouse West?
Well, that's twofold. One is it's a Meisner technique school, and Meisner is different than, you know, other ways of working, which are all, you know, valid and sound. But what's great about the Meisner program is at the beginning level, Mr. Meisner stripped the scene work out of the learning process. So we don't start with scenes. Okay. Now, a lot of actors, that's like a non-starter. Oh, no, I got to work on scenes. Okay. But here's the thing. That can be very challenging to learn the foundation, the basics of acting while working on a scene. Because so many other factors will then supersede the basic things like listening, being present, working off, because you're thinking about character, you're thinking about your lines, thinking about all sorts of fears and concerns. So by taking that out of the beginning process, it's a very unique wax on, wax off sort of way of learning. You know, always try to remind the students how the particular things they are working on. Because if you walked into the class, it'll look like a circus. People juggling, balancing stuff, especially in the early part. You're like, what in the world's happening here? So trying to be specific about what this particular thing is teaching you, okay? About listening, about hearing what they say and letting it affect you, you know? So you have to act less in the moment. So that is what's sort of different between Meisner and other programs. But Playhouse West itself, it's really, you know, Mr. Carnegie has just been able to, you know, since the school opened to, you know, it's hard to run a school and keep it, you know, vibrant and going because, you know, one, there's so much competition, but, you know, the staff that is there is we all have come up through the program and we are, you know, we all have been connected, you know, through Mr. Carnegie and his teaching. So we're all saying the same thing with our, you know, maybe a little differently, but it is still the core aspect of the Meisner technique. And it just sort of perseveres through, you know, we got through COVID, you know, a lot of places had to shut down. We had 3 studios, we lost one of them, but we still have 2. And we literally shut down for the whole year. Other places were doing it online, but we felt like that really wasn't what the program is, you know, especially as you're doing doors and activities. How do you do that online? And, you know, some people were very creative about it. And we just, you know, had a different point of view about it. So it's really the level of the teachers that are there and the experience that we bring, you know, from the time that we have taught, and we're also actors in the business, you know, so we're in the trenches with the students. I always say, look, I'm not preaching to you guys in class. I'm not preaching, I'm talking to myself. I'm trying to, you know, we're all in the same thing together, man. So I think that's what, you know, and you know, with that, we don't sort of, sometimes it can be in the environment of, we try to come from a place of more supporting them as opposed to, you know, breaking them down or really kind of, you know, going in a negative way about how to, you know, unfortunately, a lot of teachers are, you know, angry and that kind of stuff. And I've had to deal with that myself, you know, and make sure I watch how I communicate with actors. So it's, you know, and it's been, like I said, it's just been since the late 80s. So it's been around and we continue to thrive and, you know, through the ups and downs of things.
All right. And if people want to contact you, should they go through the website?
Yes, playhousewest.com. Okay. And you can just send them, we have, you can audit a class. You can see where the schedule is about doing that, and you can sign up for an audit. Come check out the class. You don't have to audit to begin. If you think it's something you want to do, you can just show up, and our administrator will help and answer any of your questions. And we'll, you know, and it's what's great about it. It's a month-to-month thing, so it's not like you have to sign a year, contract. You start it, And again, it's a very unique process. So it has to speak to you, you know. And so and it's a thing you have to kind of buy into, you know. I have an understanding of where it goes. In beginning, you don't. So there's many moments you're like, what is this? You know, this is crazy. And, you know, you have to kind of trust that where we're taking you, all right, will at the end of the day give you a way of working that is sound, you know, that again, you can plug into, because there's a process in a job that I believe we have to have a structure to follow in the beginning steps. Because when you get a job, what takes over? Fear. Oh my God, I got to do this. And there's too often actors have that sort of spaghetti against the wall kind of approach. Let's just try a lot of stuff. You might get lucky. You might hit it once, you might not hit it once. But to have a very structured way in the beginning to work, and then every job is different. But the way that you function can work with, you know, whomever you're working with, whatever style of acting, because there's different styles as well, you know, that you have to augment a little bit. But having that confidence and that foundation is vital.
Okay. And anything else you would like to add?
No, you know, if you're doing it, keep doing it.
Okay.
You know, anyway, anyhow. And, you know, this is probably all cliche, you know, trying to hold on to the fun of it,
Okay.
you know, and having the love about it and the passion is one thing, but continuing to hold on to the fun of it is and continuing to find the fun in rehearsal and doing the work, you know, because if it becomes a chore, eventually you're just not going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I tell the actors I've talked about auditions earlier. Unfortunately, you know, yes, you start off, you're gung ho, you're doing all the work. But you got to understand, for auditioning, we're asked to do a lot of work up front for a job we don't have, and when that starts to accumulate into hundreds and hundreds of auditions, you can very easily burn out, get worn down, start to lose the fun in it, especially after rejection after rejection. So you're going to end up in that spot of, you know, of wanting to quit, of being bitter and angry. You're going to get there. You got to get out of that quit somehow, you know, and it's through your friends, your peers, the community you have, people to talk to. I want to quit. This is nonsense. You know, your friends are the ones who talk you out of it. You know, just no, hang in there. You're talented. I know it's hard, but just keep going. So that's what Playhouse West offers. You know, and that's why the school is different than many Meisner programs that are a very strict 2-year process. Okay, they come in together. They move forward together, and then there's a graduation. We don't have a graduation. We say you can stay at the school as long as you feel like you're getting some out of it. One of the main things they get out of it, for people who are there 4, 5, 6 years, is that community. You know, people that they can work with, can express their frustrations with, look for that support to keep going. So that's something that's really special about the school.
All right. Well, Wolf, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.